Ever wondered if Moses had another wife secretly? The tale of Moses' second wife is a puzzling mystery that scholars have pondered for ages. Some say it was Zipporah, his well-known wife, while others hint at a different woman. Let's explore this mystery and uncover an alternate interpretation in this video. This event happened in the book of Numbers in chapter 12. It's a talk between Miriam and Aaron where they criticize Moses because he's married to a Cushite woman. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of his Cushite wife. He had married a Cushite. Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. To understand the full story, we need to look back at Moses' life. In the book of Exodus, Moses fled to Midian and married a woman named Zipporah. She was one of the 7 daughters of Jethro, a Kenite shepherd and priest of Midian. In Exodus chapter 2, verse 18, Jethro is also called Reuel. In Judges chapter 4, verse 11, he's known as Hobab. Interestingly, Hobab is also mentioned as Jethro's son in Numbers chapter 10, verse 29. So when Miriam and Aaron talk about Moses' Cushite wife, they might be referring to Zipporah, who was from Midian. It's a complex family story with different names used in different books of the Bible, but at its core, the disagreement arises from Moses' marriage, and this unfolds in Numbers 12. In the story of Moses, there's a part in Numbers 12 where Moses' wife is called a Cushite woman. This term creates some confusion because in the earlier part of the Bible, there's no mention of Moses marrying a Cushite woman. People wonder, so where did this Cushite woman suddenly come from? As per Numbers. Chapter 12, verse 1. Interpretations of this Cushite woman vary. Some think she might be the same person as Zipporah, Moses' wife from Midian. Others ponder whether Moses was married to them simultaneously or one after the other, making him a polygamist. In the story, Aaron and Miriam criticized Moses' marriage to a Cushite woman, and God gets upset, punishing Miriam with Zarath, often called leprosy. Cushites, mentioned in the book of Genesis, are associated with regions like Nubia in northeast Africa or Arabia. The Midianites, connected to Moses' story, were sometimes described as dark-skinned. Some think the reference to Zipporah as a Cushite might be due to her beauty. To understand Moses' connection with the Cushite people, we need to go back to his youth. Before escaping from Pharaoh's house, Moses had a mission to the land of Cush. In his young days, Pharaoh sent Moses to lead Egyptian armies in a war in Cush, now known as Ethiopia. During this mission, Moses advanced toward the fortified capital city of Sheba. Upon reaching the city of Sheba, Moses faced a significant challenge. The city had walls and was surrounded by the Nile River, making it inaccessible to the Egyptians. However, a twist in the tale occurred. The daughter of the king of Ethiopia, Turbis, observed Moses and fell deeply in love with him. She made an offer. Sheba would surrender to Moses if he married the Ethiopian princess. Moses accepted the deal, and the city was handed over without a fight. Moses returned to Egypt with an Ethiopian wife. This tradition explains how Moses is connected to a marriage with a Cushite woman, as mentioned in the book of Numbers. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of his Cushite wife. He had married a Cushite. Numbers. Chapter 12, verse 1. The Jewish Greek historian Artapanes of Alexandria in the 2nd century BC provided this interpretation. Another interpretation suggests that Moses didn't choose to marry the Cushite woman, rather the Cushite people brought her to him. The story begins with Pharaoh seeking to kill Moses, leading him to escape to the land of Cush. The Cushites then forced Moses to marry their queen. However, this interpretation has complexities. If Moses initially sought refuge in the land of Cush and married the Cushite queen there, why isn't the Cushite woman mentioned in events like his journey to Midian? Yet another interpretation proposes that the Cushite woman might be someone else whom Moses married while Zipporah, his wife, was staying with her father, Jethro. This marriage might have occurred before Zipporah's return to Moses, as described in Exodus chapter 18. The complaints from Miriam and Aaron about Moses marrying the Cushite woman are only mentioned during their journey in the desert, just before arriving in the desert of Paran and the story of the 12 spies. This is despite Moses marrying the Midianite woman before their exodus from Egypt. It's quite possible that Moses married a Cushite woman during their journey in the desert. The Cushite people once ruled the Babylonian Empire for about 400 years, from around 1200 to 1600 BC, including the exodus from Egypt. Historical records indicate that messengers from Black Cush often journeyed to Egypt, and marriages between Egyptian and black royalty were common. Considering this, it's plausible that Moses married a Cushite woman as part of such a partnership. Miriam and Aaron's disapproval might not have been because Moses had a second wife, as many other Israelites had multiple wives, including Jacob, Abraham, Solomon, and David. Instead, their concern might have stemmed from Moses marrying outside his ethnic group. In the Bible, Cush was the eldest son of Ham, who was cursed by his father Noah to be a slave among his brothers. Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers. Genesis chapter 9, verse 25. This background adds a layer of complexity to Moses' potential marriage to a Cushite woman. At the beginning of Miriam and Aaron's conversation, God becomes upset by their words. The anger of the Lord burned against them, and he left them. Numbers chapter 12, verse 9. Miriam's unkind words about Moses' wife seem to result in her contracting leprosy, an ailment that she inflicts upon herself by harming her skin. This suggests that Moses' wife had a different skin color. Miriam faces punishment for speaking negatively about Moses' wife. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It became as white as snow. Numbers chapter 12, verse 10. Miriam's skin turning white as snow in response to her negative words suggests a contrast in skin color with the Cushite woman, hinting that the Cushite woman may have had a darker skin tone, though it's not explicitly stated. When the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It became as white as snow. Numbers chapter 12, verse 10. Cush and its people are often described as warriors and wealthy, with these descriptions generally being positive or neutral. In most references to Cush and its people, they are not portrayed negatively. The Bible passage explicitly connecting the descendants of Cush with their skin color is found in Jeremiah. Can an Ethiopian change his skin or a leopard its spots? Neither can you do good who are accustomed to doing evil. Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 23. This verse refers to Ethiopians who are descendants of Cush. The title Cushite is linked to the region of Cush in Africa, suggesting that Moses may have had a second wife of African descent with dark skin. However, this tradition is not accepted by the Bible because it portrays Moses as marrying a woman from the lineage of Ham, who was Noah's cursed son. The Bible does not explicitly state whether Moses had two wives. In fact, there's a passage suggesting Moses had only one wife until he returned to Egypt to instruct Pharaoh to release the Israelites. So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. Exodus chapter 4, verse 20. In the Exodus story, it's explicitly mentioned that Moses had just one wife and sons. So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. Exodus chapter 4, verse 20. Considering this, we might speculate that the Cushite wife could have passed away at some point, leaving Moses with only one wife, Zipporah. Examining Moses' marriages can provide valuable insights into how God worked in the background throughout the Bible. While the Bible mentions a Cushite woman, it's essential to consider the broader context of relationships involving non-Israelite women. In the Bible, there are instances of women not from the people of Israel whom God protected. For example, Rahab, a harlot, hid Israel's spies, and in return, God promised to protect her and her family. Ruth, from Moab, became widowed along with her mother-in-law, Naomi. Ruth's loyalty led her to take care of Naomi and move to Israel. There, she met her second husband, Boaz, showcasing how God orchestrated surprising and redemptive outcomes through unexpected unions. This perspective helps us understand why God was upset with Aaron and Miriam for criticizing Moses' marriage to someone from a different race. While God warned the Israelites against marrying the Canaanites and introducing Canaanite idols into Israel, there is no outright ban on interracial marriage in the Bible. Even when rules were broken, God found ways to bring about something surprising and redemptive. So what do you think of the second wife of Moses? Comment below and subscribe for more.